It's time for a good old-fashioned unboxing. Stay tuned to find out what I'm investing in next. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and welcome to today's episode. We got a good old-fashioned unboxing for you. I've got two of them right here to open up. Both of these from Heritage Auction over the last few weeks. Some new books I've been picking up, as well as a few things that I've already unboxed that I can show off that I've picked up off of Whatnot. So before I get going here, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on my episodes I put out every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, I'm going to go find a knife. We're going to bust into these. All right, so I've been going back to Whatnot over the last few weeks, just occasionally to see what I'm seeing out there. I've tried to slow my roll on Whatnot because in some cases I've been really disappointed in the conditions, and in some cases I feel like I'm just spending too much money. But I happened to be on one of the channels here a week or so ago from a store called, and I'm reading it up here, I've got my notes right in front of me there, Route 66 Comics. Now, I think this is one of those stores that actually has multiple channels, so they may be known as something different, but this kind of show from Whatnot is one of those where they're in the store, they have a lot of comics laid out, they have a lot of comics on display, and they'll take the phone around and they'll show you what they've got. They'll go through boxes, and it's like, we got all these things, and we've got these books laid out, and we got these books in the cases. What are you guys interested in? And what they'll do is they'll start taking requests. Hey, run that book. I want to see that one. And this is definitely one of those shows. And honestly, I find those shows a little frustrating because it takes a long time to actually get an actual book up for sale. And in most cases, that book has been specifically put on that show up for auction for a particular seller. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody else can't jump in there and try to bid it up. That doesn't mean that at all, but I honestly, I think that's probably a little rude. I'm sure there's a social etiquette to that, but I know those shows take forever, and occasionally you can stumble onto one of these like this and you can find some really good books, but it takes a while. But I happened to be on the show, and they had some pretty good books in the store that they were running. I think I didn't really want to ask for anything. I was just going to see what was going to get run. I knew there were definitely some Spider-Man and some X-Men books that I might have been interested in, but I wasn't in the mood to ask about them and then take a look. I really just kind of was watching it as entertainment. But as they were going through some of the boxes, just of random stuff, they had a couple of books that I had a little bit of interest in. Nothing for resale, nothing for grading and trying to increase the value of the books or anything like that. It's more just for the PC, because over the last year I've been buying more and more of these when I find them at reasonable prices, and that's what I did on this show. It wasn't a big buy or anything, but these are fun. And let me just show you what I picked up from Route 66 Comics off of Whatnot. We got Walt Disney's Uncle Scrooge. This is number 16. And Uncle Scrooge, number 26. And I've just slowly been picking up random copies of these. I really haven't done a lot of these. I haven't bought a lot of these. So I can pick up any of these whenever I find them at a good price. I will say this, that the conditions are a little bit less than what I thought they were on the channel. But I suppose it's so hard. You're watching on a phone most of the time, and to be able to see the condition, I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to them and everything. But for the price, I didn't spend a lot of money on this, and it's just fun to have. These are mostly put a little bit of money into it just to have really old, nice, good comics in your collection. These are Carl Barks' great stories. And one of my favorite characters of all time is Uncle Scrooge, and I don't mind picking these up. So that's what I picked up from Route 66 Comics. All right, so the other Whatnot seller that I bought from is somebody I've been buying from consistently over the last couple months, and they are known as McMan Comics, and they are local here in Maryland. Great show. You guys should watch their show. These guys are entertaining like heck. They are awesome. In fact, I just saw them at a local Comic-Con that I went to, and just real fun guys. They love this hobby. They love the comics. And I think they love selling really good books, because they generally have some really good books on there. And in fact, that's probably one of the main channels I've been buying from over the last month or so. So let me just show you what I picked up this time. And I will say this, it's a little, I'll admit this one was not quite as good as I thought it was going to be, but it's one of my favorite runs of comics of all time. It is Avengers number 84. This was the last John Buscema, Tom Palmer Avengers book until they reunited on the Avengers book in the 80s. I think issue 255, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a story with Arkin. And this right here is one of just, I don't think there's much significance to the story, but the artwork on those issues were just fantastic. And what's funny is recently 2 pages from this book just got sold on Heritage Auctions. I think one went for, it was nearly $10,000. It was in that $9,000 range. The other one went for just under $8,000 for a single page of artwork from this book. And that was just amazing to watch because, as you guys know, I am a huge fan of John Buscema, Tom Palmer on the Avengers. In fact, if you look here in the back, let's say right there, it's a reproduction stat, or a production art, basically, from issue number 79 of the Avengers. And it's a little hard to see. I'm not going to get it down right now, but it is from that run of theirs. And it's got the Grim Reaper and the Lethal Legion. And I had gotten Roy Thomas and Tom Palmer to sign that. Now, by the time I got this, John Buscema is long since passed. I want to say early 90s, and I never got a chance to meet him. And at that point, I didn't have any of this artwork or prints or any of these things like that. And I had some of the issues, but that was just when I was discovering how much I loved that early run of Avengers that the two of them worked on. And of course, Roy Thomas wrote all of these as well. But I picked this up. It's a little bit rougher than I would like, but I don't mind having another copy of this in my collection. But the next 2 books are spectacular. And this right here takes me back to my childhood, growing up with a bunch of these. I never had this. It is a first issue of this run, but I had many of them since, and some of them have some of the great covers. Let me show it to you. It is the first issue of Marvel Classics Comics, and this is taking the classic literature and putting them into comics. You've got this great Gil Kane cover. They started with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. What a great cover. And I remember they had I want to say the Invisible Man cover for that book was just spectacular. I always loved that. It was always one of my favorite ones too. But these were, at least early on, as I recall, these were square-bound books. And this is a spectacular square-bound book. Sorry, I'm slurring over my words here. It looks fantastic. I think with a light press right here, I think this right here will come out really good. There is a little bit of creasing right there, but I think a light press will help this. Now, I don't have a lot of experience in the last couple of years of cleaning and pressing. I have not done a lot of square-bound books. In fact, I don't think I've submitted one of these. So I definitely need to practice a little bit before I put on a gem like this. I think I'll have to find some older used books, maybe some of those original Fantasy Masterpiece books from the 70s with the Silver Surfer, or something that isn't too high grade that I can practice on. But this right here, I'm actually excited to see I wonder what that would be. You know, 9.8, 9.6 on something like that. Have to look that up. I will look that up, but it won't be on the show here, obviously. Maybe if I think about it, by the time I'm editing the show, I'll put up a little price sticker of what a 9.8 and a 9.6 will be. I'll try to remember that. But the last issue is the one that actually got me buying something on the channel. And I probably wouldn't have bought this if it had come earlier. But when I popped into the show for McMan Comics, they had these up. And I'm like, okay, I can't pass these up when they're at decent prices. And it seems like the raw prices have been dropping. I mean, at one point I was buying these at $80, $70, $60. Well, no, $80, $70, $60. But bought this for a lot less. I think it was like lower, like $52. It is X-Men 221, the first appearance of Mr. Sinister. And they described it on the channel like it is They had a whole bunch of these from one buyer that, or one seller that they got these from, and they were spectacular copies. This was the last one. I'm hoping that this one wasn't the least of the group, and we'll still be able to get a 9.8 on this. My personal copy I sent in here a couple years ago, I ended up with a 9.6 on it. I ended up selling that. And since then, I've bought a couple of Raws, and I bought this one here. I think this was probably the best one I've bought since. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a 9.8 on that. This is the only one I want to give you values on today, because I did look that up, because I bought that specifically because of how they described it and the potential. 9.8s on this right now. The most recent sale was about $266, and right before that, I think a sale of about $300. All of these were sales in November, so you got a range of $266 to $300 for a 9.8 on this. 9.6s in November just went for $103, so you definitely can see the market is still down. 9.8s, the premiums aren't as premium, and then it just drops off the cliff a lot of times with the 9.6. There's just not a market. Market needs to be a lot stronger to get those 9.6s and 9.4s and things like that to be more valuable. So looking forward to getting that into the shop. So not much of an unboxing so far. I've still got those two boxes sitting down here on the floor right in front of me. We'll get into those in a sec. But these, like I said, I'd already opened them up, and I wanted to share them with you in this video. So let me put these up, and then we'll get right to the boxes. All right, so here are the two boxes I picked up. As I said earlier, they're both from Heritage Auctions. I don't know which one's which, but let's just bust into one and we'll find out. I mean, I've been picking up some really good keys. Unfortunately for me, or fortunately, I'm not sure. They're not in all cases. They're things that are on my goals list. But if I remember, if one of these is correct, I might have something on that goals list. We'll see. I'll stop speculating. We'll just get into the box. And let me show you the box here. They're both the same size. Both of these are Uline boxes, 14 by 10 by 2. Now, I use the exact same box when I sell comics. And I've found that these are really sturdy, especially when you tape them up the right way. And a lot of times, I mean, these boxes here are still really good shape. I will end up reusing these when I resell something too. So not only do I buy my own Uline boxes, I also reuse these too. But let's show you what I've got in here. Open it up, and here's my paperwork. That's our invoice and a note basically saying, hey, inspect your books and make sure everything came in okay. And then you've got the bubble wrap with everything taped up. And this one looks really taped. You can tell different people are putting their packages together. The last one I opened up was really nice. They still use the same brown tape here, but they put little tabs on it so you could open it up really easy, and that came off really good. This one, however, they've taped up every little edge along everything. I don't even have a decent finger hold, so I'm going to put this down here for a second and work on it, and I'll probably fast forward so you don't have to listen to all the bubble wrap and the tape and everything, so just stay with me here. All right, so I got the tape off. That actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but basically I saved the bubble wrap. There's a little bit of tape left, but guys, reuse and recycle all of your bubble wrap and everything. I mean, I've got so much bubble wrap saved up. I can present out a lot of orders. When I get things from Comic Link, I end up saving all those peanuts. So I've got giant bags in there, almost really garbage bag size bags saved with peanuts. So never will have to buy those for a while. But here we got our bubble wrap. Let's just start unwrapping and see which one this is. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be nice. It definitely is one of those books that's on my 2023 goals list. It is not as high a grade as I would like, but it gets me into close to that ballpark where I kind of want to be. It's a nice copy. We'll get to that second, but we'll do the raw book first, because the raw book is I'm going down this path of looking at new and different things that I want for 2024, and I've already got started on it by doing this. Some of these aren't the biggest keys, but they're really good books. And they're really good books. And I'm trying to pick up some raw books of this line in high grade. Heritage Auction really does a good job on grading. My experience is the raws, especially Silver Age stuff and early bronze, they are kind of conservative on the grading. And with a nice clean press and a little bit of work, you can grade out at least maybe a half grade to a grade higher sometimes. That's been my experience. If it's different from you, you guys just let me know. But let me show you the first one. It's a raw book. They've got it listed as a very fine near mint. And I'm looking at it now. I see one spine tick, color breaking spine tick over there. Maybe two, depending on, yeah, there's about two of them and a little bit of wear around the staple. So there's a little bit of wear here. This probably will grade out about, if it works the way I think it will, it'll end up probably being an 8.5, maybe an outside shot at a 9. I hope it doesn't drop down too much more below that. But let me show it to you, and I'll pull it out of the bag because they've got a sticker on the front of the bag here, and it interferes with the comic. Here it is. It is Batman 221. And you can see that beautiful Neil Adams cover right here. But let me take it out real carefully here. And I'll leave it on the board. And let you guys take a look here. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, that's spectacular. These dark corners over here are no dog ears. It's really sharp. Like I said, you got a little wear down here at the bottom. And let me set it right here. Do that real carefully. But this is the road that I'm going to start going down to. I think we're going to switch over to be looking for a little bit more Batman, Neil Adams, some of the bigger keys. This is not necessarily one of those bigger keys, but this is a classic Neil Adams cover and pretty desirable. So I was happy to pick this up from Heritage Auctions, and I look forward to getting this into the press, and we'll see what grade we can eventually get on this. Now, this is a book that I will hold on to the PC, but if it grades out well, it's definitely a book I won't mind trading or selling at some point to maybe pick up something that I definitely want more. So that's why I bought this book. When I say the book's not on the list, doesn't mean it's not a great book. I look at this book as a book that has a lot of potential, and then I could possibly down the road upgrade to another book or a different book that is something more desirable. That's all I'm saying to that. Not saying that this isn't a really good book, but that's kind of my reasoning behind some of the books that I do pick up. So that is really good. I'm reading the back of the board. They've got that listed as a 9.0 on the back. So that'll be curious if it actually grades out that way. When I get that grade, I'll have to make a mental note that once I get this graded, when I do the reveal at some point, will it maintain that grade? I don't know. So let's put this. Too much glare. We're going to put it down for the moment. Okay, so that leaves me, and I've lost it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. I have one graded book, and this is definitely on my goals list for the year. It was a late add. I added this and the book right after it, probably in June of this year, and I don't know what triggered my desire to go down this road, but it's another DC comic, and I kind of started to want to get some of these early Justice League books. I just gave you it's a Justice League book, but I wanted to do some of the early appearances of the Justice Society. And I picked up the second issue in the storyline, and I wanted to get this one, but every time I go to a show recently, I'm finding that anybody who has them in really awful condition. And they're asking way too much money, I think. And that's kind of why I bought this, and I bought it at the grade that I bought it at. When I was looking at the pictures of this on Heritage Auctions, I thought it presented really well. And as I've said in the past, I don't mind a lower grade on certain books if the presentation of it is fantastic. And I'm looking at this, and yeah, there's a little dog ear down there in the corner, but it does not distract on how beautiful this cover, the spine, a little bit of wear, but generally sharp corners all around. Let's show it to you guys. It is Justice League of America, number 21. This right here is the first crossover of the Justice Society and Justice League, the first Crisis on two Earths. And I had bought the second issue to the storyline, issue number 22. I've actually gotten, I think I've gotten 3 rolls at this point, and I'm yet to get them into the shop to clean and press them at some point. But those copies are really good. Beautiful Green Lantern, dual Green Lantern cover with the Justice League all and floating in space. I love that cover. This right here is an all-time classic right here. And I've been wanting, like I said, I've been wanting to get this, but every time I've been looking for it for this last half year, it's just the condition has not been quite where I wanted it. Yes, I would love to have had this in at least a 6.0, 6.5. I mean, obviously more than that, but this book gets expensive. And looking at the photos of this thing was, as I said, beautiful. The corners are sharp, even with the dog ear down here at the bottom. Let me show it to you. Yeah, it's a little hard to see with the reflection. Yeah, you can see a little bit of color breakdown here, but it's not drastic. And this corner and the dark purple and the two on the up here and down there are both really sharp. Let's take a look at the back. Oops. Let's take a look at the back real quick. Yeah, there's a real soft corner on the back cover, down to the bottom on the left. Maybe could you, excuse me, voice is changing, getting older here. Maybe could use a little bit of cleaning on the back. It'll be interesting to see what the graders notes are. But right there, another big key that came off of my 2023 goals list. I know you guys are getting tired of me using that, saying that. Goals list. Well, I set goals at the beginning of the year. This was a late ad, but I'm glad I picked it up, and man, this is beautiful. This is a presentation book. Even at a 5.5, to me, that is a really sharp copy. So, real happy to have that in the PC. All right, so let's get into this second box. And these were from Heritage Auctions, from their weekly comic book sales that they have on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of each week. And so these were from back-to-back consecutive weeks. In fact, I think this was the second of the two. So this was definitely the earlier of the two sales. So let me find the knife here, and let me put this down. Let me see if I can set this back here this time so you guys can still see it. Let's see if I can do that without the... No, I still can't do it. I don't know. Not doing too well tonight. But found the knife. You notice I had the scissors the last time, so we got the knife this time. Let's get into this second one. And again, packaged in a 14 by 10 by 2 U-line box. And if you end up with multiple slabs, I think they go up to the next size up. It's usually like a 14 by 3 or 14 by 3 or a 15 by 3 by 10 box, something like that. But again, here we go. Open up the box. There is your paperwork plus your reminder to make sure that you inspect everything to make sure it's okay. And here we go. We've got very similar. You got bubble wrap. Actually, you got a little bit more bubble wrap this time on top and bottom. And you can see that it's slightly differently packaged than the last one. Last one, they ran long strips along all the open edges. This one, they just put pieces over it. And this is the kind, when they do it like this, the last video I did with the Heritage Auctions, they actually put little tabs on these, and you could pull it off really easy. Problem with this one is there's no tabs, so it's going to be really hard to get in here. And I don't want to just cut down the middle because all the edges get stuck. So I kind of want to take the tape off and try to preserve this so I can continue to keep the bubble wrap. So hang on for a sec. I'm going to get into this. All right. Cut through the tape. I may be able to get some of this still off and preserve the bubble wrap. But here, let's do the unwrapping. Ooh, got some big keys in this one. And yes, it's one, I don't remember, I think it's maybe 2 or 3 books in here. I know one of them is a slab, and I've got, yeah, this was a big order. I've got, one's a smaller book, but the other 2, I think it was just 2, are really big books. So let's start with the slab because this was not an expensive slab. And it's a book that I kind of wanted to get as a 9.8 just for the PC. It is really cheap right now with the, again, mark it down. It's not a huge key, but I love this book. This is one of my favorite Doctor Doom comics. And I'm not the biggest fan of the cover, but the interior and the story is absolutely fantastic. It's the first of a 3-part series with Doctor Doom. Let me show it to you. 9.8, Fantastic Four, number 258. Now, a lot of people love this cover. It's not my favorite Doctor Doom cover. In fact, I like issue 246 so much better. But the storyline in this is Doom basically rescuing Terrax, who had been defeated back in, I think, issue 242 by the Galactus. He'd taken his powers away and left for dead, basically. But ever since that time, he was in the hospital, all bandaged up, and Doom sends his Doombots to kidnap Terrax out of the hospital, and he takes him back, and he embeds him with the little bit of cosmic power that he still retained from the Silver Surfer. And he would have used that power on himself, except he knew he'd end up destroying himself. He'd end up killing himself. So he had devised this plan to give Terrax this almost unlimited power, but he knew that it would consume him in only a short amount of time. And that's pretty much kind of the way it played out. He sent Terrax after the Fantastic Four, and he would have killed Ben, he would have killed Johnny, and he killed the Invisible Girl if it hadn't been for Doom's pride getting in the way. So if you never had a chance to read these stories, go back. 258, 259, 60. Absolutely just a fantastic Doctor Doom. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think anybody did or has done Doctor Doom as well as John Byrne. John Byrne knew how to write that character the way he was. His arrogance, his superiority, his presence, everything that it should be. Everything what Doctor Doom should be. But it started, I shouldn't say it started, but this storyline, again, started with this here, 258. Couldn't be happier. Let's read what it says up at the top. Yes, Doctor Doom and Terrax appearance, Captain America and Iron Man cameo. John Byrne story, art, and cover. So that right there is awesome. I'll try not to destroy the set here. That would not be good. Okay, so that leaves us with 2 Raw books. And I've got both of these in the PC. One of them, actually both of them are graded. And I've been looking for an upgrade. The first one right here. Ooh, let me try to do this without getting tape on it. Okay. Give me 1 sec. The bag and board that Heritage put it in is within another bag and board, and the tape's all over the place. I definitely don't want to tape pull at this stage. It is a raw book. Now, this book right here, I bought this as a raw in a fine, maybe a fine plus condition. Let me see if I can find the notes real quick, because it does say it on the label. Yeah, it's in a fine condition. I might be able to get this a little bit better with a clean and press, but I bought this as a raw, as an investment, and it's only because I've got this as a 3.0, and I bought that to get into this book. I'd never had it before. It is a key book from the early 70s. Let me just show it to you. As I said, this is in fine condition. It should grade out much better than the the 3.0 that I already own. And I'm hoping for a big upgrade once I get this into CGC. It is Marvel Spotlight number 2. This is the Werewolf by Night origin issue with Jack Russell. Neil Adams cover. So this is the second one I bought this year. This is the first raw. Looking forward to getting this in. It is a square-bound book, though. So it's a book I've never read, so it'll be interesting. As I'm inspecting this book, I'm actually going to read it. I have to be real careful, though. I don't want to put any creases over here on the square-bound at all. But I don't think I've actually read this. Do you guys know where this is reprinted? Have they reprinted or put into an omnibus or a trade paperback the Werewolf by Night stories? I don't know. You guys can let me know by leaving me a comment in the comments section. But I was real happy to pick this up. I don't have my notes in front of me to tell you how much I paid for this, but I felt like the price I did pick this up, and the next book too, were good enough prices that if I can get the grades that, even the grades that it should grade out to, would be a pretty good investment and a good return if I decide to sail down the road. So let me show you the last book. And yeah, they've got this in a bag and board within a bag and board. So I want to get rid of the tape before I cause... I'll take it back. It's within a bag. Again, it's in a bag with a sticker on the front. So give me one sec. I'm going to pull it out with the backing board because I don't want to cause any more problems to it. And this book right here is a key Silver Age book. It is listed as a fine plus. I'm hoping it'll grade out to at least a 7, 7.5. Market's, again, really down on this book. I've got I want to say a 5.0 from a copy I'd bought of the same raw book I'd bought from Heritage Auctions a year ago. And it was a VG, maybe VG Plus copy that I was able to clean press and get it up to that 5.0 range, even with a little hole in the front cover. And it looks spectacular. In fact, I think it actually... Well, the cover, the color itself definitely looks better than this, but this has got some age to it. But the spine is pretty nice. No dog ears. There's the cover itself, except for the age and a little bit of wear around the spine, looks really good. Let me just show it to you. I picked up another copy of Prince Namor, the Submariner. And as I said, they've got this listed as a fine plus book. Again, this, just like Werewolf by Night, the Marvel Spotlight #2, it's going into the press. It's going to go to CGC, and we're going to see what kind of grade we can get. I'm happy with the other 5.0 that I've got if I want to keep that in a collection. We'll see if... Last year with the Black Panther movie and Namor and Ned, I mean, what an awful depiction. I don't care. Guys, I don't care what you say to me. I hated that Black Panther depiction of Namor and Ned. They could have made a new character with the whole Mexican... Latin American type of origin. I didn't mind that part of it, but that wasn't Namor. Why do you literally just sticking a name on a character that it doesn't have any of the same history as the character that everybody loves right here? I mean, right here, this is Namor. I mean, what they had in that movie, that was not Namor. That was a pretender. And this right here is just so, what an impressive cover. John Buscema artwork. Some of his best work was in these first few issues of Submariner. Roy Thomas stories. I know this is a big book that a lot of people like to get Roy Thomas to sign. So I'm looking forward to, just like Werewolf by Night there, getting this into the shop, getting it clean and press, and getting it into CGC and see what kind of grade we're going to come out with. I hope that this thing will come out better than a 7.0. I don't think it's going to be much more than that. My guess right now it's going to be a 7.5 at the best. But if it hits an 8.0, that'll be fantastic, but we'll see what we can get. Hopefully it won't drop down too much, and I mean, you don't want to lose money on these things, right, guys? So that's it. That is my comic book haul. That is my unboxing for today. I hope you enjoyed all of this. Let me know what you think of the books today by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. And if you're ever interested in any of the things that I have on my channel, whether the raw or a graded book, definitely just reach out to me. Some of these things will be in sale in my eBay store, and some of them will be on Shortbox. But if you're ever interested in anything, just leave me an email at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or contact me on Instagram. Both places are very easy to get in touch with me. And again, you can always check out what I currently have for sale on eBay or Shortbox. So that's it. Enough of the sales pitch. You guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing, and I will see you for the next show. Until then, remember, every comic has a story.